Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this particular video, my focus would be on the second important question. Well, when I say second, it's not necessary that it's always the second question, but generally that's how it is asked. So the second important question that interviewees face and then they really find it hard to answer. And the question is, what are your strengths? Well, this is a question which a good majority of students find difficult to answer, like in the earlier example, not because the question itself is difficult, but because most students haven't really gone through a thorough mental exercise of really, understanding what their actual strengths are. And that's why when this question comes, one of the things that these guys do is that most people do is go out into maybe browse the internet, search Google to find answers about what should, a right articulation of this for this question should be like. Well, that's wrong. That's not how you should be going ahead, because this question specifically is about, articulating what your true strengths are. So you shouldn't be, depending on Google to tell you what your strengths are or what your weaknesses are. That's the wrong way of doing it. The best place to start is with yourself. Just sit down in a quiet place, and before you really get to this question, you got to do this little exercise. Just sit down in a quiet place and ask yourself. I mean, you need to do a little bit of introspection and self discovery, self exploration to find out what exactly are your strengths, and then ask yourself, what is it I love to do? I mean, day and night without getting tired, or without getting bored, without losing my interest. Something that I can sit for days and days together and still wouldn't even know that I've spent so much time on that. What are those things for me? Now that is a clear indicator of what might be your true strengths. And then you see how this strength could be articulated to the interviewer, because this is a very important thing. It could be a technical thing. For example, some people like to sit before a computer monitor and then browse their way for days and days, because that's clearly their strength. Some people would want to go out and then, be on the street, talk to people, and then make a lot of contacts, acquaintances, and so on. That is their strength. Some people want to listen to music and then, hum uh, and then, dance and do those things. Those are strengths. Now, you really have to understand what these strengths are. I'm going to give you a list of these strengths that you can, possibly see if they are your strengths as well, just to trigger your thought process in order to get to what is your strengths at the core. Okay, so once you talk about your strength, for example, if you say my primary strength is that I'm a great analytical thinker, or I have excellent communication skills, or I'm extremely adaptable and I've got leadership qualities which I have been time and again able to demonstrate all through my career so far. So if you have something like that, you could always bring them up here. Okay, now after you mention your strengths, the next thing you got to do, which is very important, is to give one or two examples to support the strength that you just named. The example could be from your academic work, it could be from your experience as a professional, your early days in office, it could be from any field. It doesn't have to be from your workplace itself. Anything that corroborates, anything that supports and acts as a prop to defend the point that you just made is good and must be given out. And please don't stop with just one strength. Make sure you list down some 4 or 5 different strengths of yours, and then examples of those strengths that you might want to give, strong examples. And when you're doing all this, just remember one golden principle that I already mentioned in my first video, which is whatever strength you say, you name, or whatever examples you give, make sure they are aligning with the job role that you're applying for. So don't give a strength that's got nothing to do with the job that you're about to enter into. Make sure your strengths, the examples and the strengths that you say are your strengths, are taken from your uh, from from areas and that align with the job that you are applying to or the company that you're applying to. Because this litmus test of relevance to the interviewer, whatever you say, it has to have a strong relevance to the interviewer and the job role that you're applying to. That is the important thing that you must keep in mind, right? So here is a list of strengths that you probably could go through and see if they apply to you, just as a as a thought starter. But I'm not saying you should talk about these things. I'm only saying that if any of these apply to you, well, you could go ahead and then talk about them. And if none of these apply to you, but this list will still be a fantastic indicator as to which direction you need to think in order to arrive at your uh, strengths. So some of these are analytical thinking. You could say something like, well, I have the ability to break down complex problems and analyze data effectively.